Welcome to the Save Our Goal podcast. This week's a little bit weird for me. So today's Tuesday. We normally record on Tuesdays. I did a future episode yesterday. So I need to make sure I introduce this one properly. Otherwise, I'm going to have two of the same episode, which I don't think anybody's going to notice, but I will notice. And the people that like hardcore listen are going to be like, Dom, you don't know what you're talking about.
Time travel.
So this is episode 166. We have Hannah and Andy with Johan. And I am super interested in your guys' company. So I saw you guys at the PGA show. I wasn't there, but our guys, Matt and JJ from No Bunker, No Bogey were there.
Yeah.
And I actually messaged JJ and I'm like, damn it, dude. Like you had them on before me. And he sent me a Michael Jackson gif of Smooth Criminal. And I was like, come on, dude. Like, come on. So that's kind of when I found Johan, and I love the art. So we're going to talk about everything Johan, but for me, the crew neck sweater with the art on the back reminds me so much of like a Japanese like block painting.
Yeah.
And I know it's Korean and stuff like that, but every time I look at it, it just reminds me of like the block painting of the waves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my favorite art styles. So I was drawn in, I was hooked, and just having a few conversations with you guys. I really do enjoy what you guys are doing. So Johan out of LA, your guys' backstory super interesting, but go ahead, introduce yourselves, and then let's talk all about Johan and whatever else we get into.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Andy.
I'm Hannah.
And I guess I'm the Han part of Johan, and she's the Joe part of Johan. Her maiden name is Joe, and my last name is Han. And two Korean names equal a European sounding brand name, Johan. So that's where the name originated from. But yeah, we're married, and we're individually the co-founders.
Yeah, going on 11 years. Our families grew up in Hawaii together. So after we started dating, I was kind of going through old albums, and I found pictures of us together, like even
like
holding
babies.
hands.
We were kids, yeah.
So it was pretty trippy to kind of see that. But
yeah, and we were kind of talking about that beforehand. I'm not a big like religious faith guy. It's just not really me. Maybe one day. I'm not, not one of the people that like rule things out, but this is not a relationship podcast, but like there's some like divine intervention with you guys. Because you guys laid it out on your website. You guys met when you were little, obviously the picture albums, and then all of a sudden you guys move away from each other and then you somehow rekindle it. That's crazy. Because when I was 2 and 3, I don't think I had friends, first of all. Nor would I even remember them. So that's crazy.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the thing is, we didn't remember each other at all. Like I was kind of aware of her family, but we were just so young. And then likewise, because I have a pretty big family, we have a total of 4 siblings, and so my oldest sister, she would kind of take care of the kids, and she was the one that kept in touch with with Hannah's family. So it was kind of through her that we kind of re-met, so to speak, later on in life. But yeah, when we were at that age, we had no idea. That's why it was so funny to find those photos.
And what's interesting to me is he has 3 siblings, and all of them left an impression on me. I like vividly remember them, but I had no idea of his existence. And so,
middle child syndrome, I guess.
Oh, is that okay? I'm the oldest, so I wouldn't know what the middle child is. Especially since there's only 2 of us, so there's not really a middle child. Yeah, that's crazy. Like,
that's pretty funny.
Around Christmas, we were going through old photo albums, and my family, we're not like super new to the US, but we're like not like here forever either. You know what I mean? Like we were very much immigrants. I'm like 40% Finnish. So my last name's like 100% Italian and blah, blah, blah. So we're looking at old photo albums, and my dad's side took very good journals, very good notes. Like we have like writings, we have pictures, we have all these different things. And in Minnesota, we say up north is the Iron Range. Anything past Duluth, Minnesota is the Iron Range. And that's kind of where they settled, right? They came in, they immigrated from Italy, from Finland, from wherever. And we're going through these photo albums. And all of a sudden, I'm like, this is all California. And my grandma's like, yeah, basically, this woman in my family, before she officially tied the knot, she did like a honeymoon by herself.
What?
Yeah. So she went all over California. We have like napkins and pictures and
That's
all of
cool.
these things. And I'm sending it to some of my friends out in California, and they're like, bro, that place still exists. And part of me is like, what if my family started that? Like, what if she's like, I'm the founder? Um, but that was going somewhere and I totally lost it and got off track. There's roads up north by my cabin. We're way up north in Minnesota. And it's literally named after like my grandmother's family.
Oh wow.
Crazy.
So like we've been around, and like that's like the closest thing to like family,
Mhm.
like, or maybe running into people that we're related to. It actually has happened where I was helping this woman at work at my job, and she's like, your last name is very unique. I'm like, yeah, there's not too many of us floating around that aren't related. And she's like, are Jim and Carol your grandparents? I'm like, yeah. Long story short, I call my grandmother. I'm like, hey, this lady, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, yeah, we're like related to her. I'm like, you can't just like drop that on me. Like, I don't know her.
Surprise.
And I've never seen this woman since. But somehow, some way, she was like related to blah, 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 and stuff like that. And then actually, that reminds me. So, cabin up north, the neighbor, these two girls moved in. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I have people to hang out with that are kind of my age. We're hanging out for years. And I found out that we're related to them as well. Just randomly moved in, and their mom is like my grandmother's, or somehow related to my grandmother's side, but like somebody died,
Uh,
and then she popped in. It's this whole weird thing where I like to say it's just like how white people are related to everybody. Um, Kind of like how like the stereotype is Mexicans are related to other Mexicans, which is
You're
kind of
gonna
true.
you're gonna have to take your 23andMe before you date anyone in your neighborhood.
I know. That's why I am not married. I'm terrified. I am petrified. But like that's like the closest thing that I've had to like what is going on at moments. I can't imagine being like, oh my God, I knew you when I was 2 or 3 and now we're married.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Also, the issue with me is my brain, like I said, overstimulated constantly. I go on little tangents, and that's where Derek is supposed to come in and be like, Dom, knock it off.
That's
And
fine.
Derek's in
Along for the ride.
Chicago.
No worries.
So yeah, that story is fascinating. And
Appreciate it.
I don't know, like it's crazy to me. And now all of a sudden you guys have this really cool brand in LA. You guys merge your names together to get, like you said, a very European sounding name, which I guess I don't really see it as European, but sure, we'll go with it.
Because like you were saying earlier, your first
Johan.
impression goes to
Yeah.
Johan Santana, right?
Yeah. Who is like Venezuelan or something. So whenever I see that, I'm like, oh, Hispanic, whatever. Is it European? I'll have to Google it. But anyways, so you guys are married. At one point, were you like, hey, I have this itch to start this company, and why is it golf related?
Um, so I think it kind of with a lot of these small kind of these golf apparel brands that kind of popped up recently. I think it all stemmed from a similar reason, especially in the women's golf space. I think both of us started golfing during COVID. We really got into it during the start of COVID, and then when Hannah and I would play together in the early morning rounds, and we get more golf apparel, we get some got our golf clubs, and then what happened when you were trying to find some
Yeah,
golf clothes?
you just go to the biggest golf store you can find and you look around and there just weren't that many options.
Mhm.
If it was stylish, it was super expensive and kind of affordable. And if it was kind of tacky, it was like on the sale rack and stuff. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to put more fashionable options out on the market. That was also practical for women as well.
And
Women have it real tough in golf. Like, I know that's such an understatement, but it's tough because, um, you look at women's apparel in golf and it's all like skin tight, not exactly the most like flattering thing for a lot of women.
mm,
And it's expensive for no reason. Like guys have it a little bit easier. We just shorts polo, but then women, it's like, ah, do you want to do the skirt, the whatever? There's all these little variables that people don't think about, especially on the women's side.
Mhm.
We
and
had a
it's
really
become
great
such a long
conversation
golf.
with Daniela from Aya,
Oh, yeah.
and she had the same thing. She's like, I went out shopping, and I couldn't find anything I liked to golf in.
Mhm.
And she did the same thing. She's like, let me set out on my own company. She started Aya, which is just, I found out the vowels of her name. And I'm like, you're a genius. If you guys ever meet her, she
Yeah,
is,
we did get to, yeah.
did you? Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the PGA show.
And that's how we kind
She,
of through her we met JJ as well. So
oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, those two are like two peas in a pod. She, it's like the same thing. And I think the women's market is untapped, but also super hard to get into because it's still such a male dominated sport, even though the LPGA right now is booming with talent,
yeah.
which I don't think we could say a handful of years ago, or at least we could, but it wasn't as well known talent. Um, so that's, I think, where you guys carve out your own little niche is it's casual, but also golfable, which I feel like isn't a women's thing yet. I feel like it's all performance or none of the performance.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we actually are working with an LPGA player, Jennifer Chang,
Okay.
and she, we gave her some of our stuff and we're kind of, working together. But to hear her honest feedback, how she loves our stuff and, she likes to play in it, was kind of justification for us to, or like validation, I guess, that, yeah, it can be stylish and functional. And, a professional like her can wear it on the field. So, yeah, that was great.
And yeah, and just to touch upon what you were mentioning earlier about the golf space in the women's golf space, and it's definitely come a long way. You talk about Aya Golf, and there's so many more of these brands that are here now and are quite established, and because of that reason, because they couldn't find anything that they really liked, that they vibed with, that matched their style. And so to see, we carved out our own little thing, and there's so many that carved out their own thing. So there's so many options out there now compared to before, which is nice. It's still small, it's still growing, but
Mhm.
like you were saying, it's booming, and it's so cool to see everyone's inspirations and styles, and that's a small piece. Well, I don't want to say a small piece, but a part of the reason why this brand was created was that, and having this kind of creative outlet to kind of put forth what we kind of like, what we want to see out there as well. So it was a kind of a marriage of those ideas too. So we're excited, and like you said, trying to make it more golfable, like you said, and to wear it, off the course too, and part of that big streetwear influence that we have.
Yeah, like there's a lot of male dominated companies that are doing really great things, right? Like I have my Pare shirt on. Um, I love working with Maddie. We actually have a super secret collab coming in May with
Ooh.
Pare. And it's one of those things where like 90% of it are dudes buying it. Not
Mhm.
that that's an issue, but like, if we want to continue to grow the game of golf and include everybody, there's got to be something for the ladies. And my friend Jess and her fiance Chaz just got into golf. And every time I see her dressing like golf stuff, I'm like, that doesn't look right. Not that she looks bad in it, but I'm like, that's not
Right.
how you dress normally,
Right,
right?
right,
I'm
right.
like, not that that's a
Yeah,
bad
that's a
thing,
good point.
obviously I don't want to be like, oh, Dom, I don't want her to be like, oh, Dom thinks I'm ugly. Um, but it's like whenever she dresses casually, I'm like, that's how you should dress when you play golf. So she started her own company in Bad Golf Co.
Okay.
And now it's all hoodies and t-shirts, but the
Hmm.
front is really plain, which is how kind of she likes it. And then the back is this big graphic.
Hmm.
But
Awesome.
it's something you can wear casually. It's something you can wear on the golf course, which we've all done. I have my own hoodies that I've bought. I have my own t-shirts from her, and they work really well on the course. So whenever I have the opportunity to buy a golf inspired streetwear piece that doubles for both, I think that's genius. And I think that's where companies like Malbon have really done a good job.
For sure.
Pare with Maddie, um, XYZ. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch.
Mhm.
Um, but I think the women need more of that. And it shouldn't just be your basic like pinks and stuff like that. Like I love pink, but like I know women who don't like pink. My favorite color is purple. There's a lot of women that are like, that's dumb, and I'm like, sorry, I like purple. So I think where you guys are coming in, it's still art. I don't want to take away from the art theme that you guys have going on, but it's still basic enough to where you're going to see a lot of different women wear it. LPGA players, casual people. I think my mom would wear a lot of it too.
Oh,
Just knowing that it's for golf and art, my mom would be thrilled with it. Um, so I think that's where you guys are really hitting two or three different things that a lot of golf companies aren't doing.
Oh, thank you.
And I feel like when I look at women's golf apparel, it's all like vests and like skirts, and I don't want to say like over sexualizing them, but it's like, well, where's just like the t-shirt and the hoodie and the short, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Um, I my staff are all college women essentially. I've got like two dudes. Most of them are women, and it's the same thing with like a lot of the running apparel. Like guys get these shorts and t-shirts, and women are like sports bras and really short spandex shorts. And it's funny how everything kind of revolves around that, where like the shirt Andy's wearing, pretty sure that's for men and women,
hmm. Yeah.
and it looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think unisex is we're leaning towards that just because yeah, I think
We like
it's
the fit.
yeah,
Yeah.
we like the look and design of that unisex look. So yeah, I think we have some cool polos coming up, and I think a lot of other brands are going towards that look as well. So
Oh, there's definitely a shift, and I think it's really cool to see in golf because it is showing that it's growing. Whether the old timers like that or not is
Mhm.
still to be seen. But there's a whole lot of people, your guys' age, my age, that are pumped to see golf really, I don't want to say explode, but change a few things, whether that's, wearing a t-shirt on the golf course, a handful of years ago, that wouldn't have flown.
yeah,
There's a lot of places where it's like you can't wear like denim, which I'm like, well, I'm not going to wear jeans, but like if I wanted to, like if I wanted to go like after work, I won't be allowed to.
right.
And I think that's crazy. But I did want to talk about kind of the colors you guys pick and the art you guys pick. So the shirt you're wearing, I
Mhm.
love the colors in it. I love the font.
Oh, cool.
When you guys are designing things, do the colors mean a lot to you? Um, and does the font mean anything to you?
Yeah, I mean, he's a graphic designer by trade, and so he's very picky about typography. Is that how you
Yeah.
say it? Yeah, and I think the colors are definitely a design element that can either kill or,
Save.
save something. So, yeah, definitely.
That's
So
also one of the hardest things um, when it comes to the actual manufacturing of certain apparel pieces, is because on your computer screen or on the printout or maybe even just the what do you call it, the samples
Mhm.
mhm.
of the fabric. It's like, oh, this color looks good, but when you actually create it and have the stretch, it comes out differently. So fine tuning, getting the right color,
Yeah, it's really
it's
hard.
a challenge. But when you can pull it off, it's great.
Right.
But sometimes some sacrifice you kind of make, right? Like it's not the exact perfect color, but it's just a little bit off, but it still works.
Yeah,
So
you have
yeah.
to take into consideration the method of printing. Is it digital print? Is it screen printing? And then, the fabric itself, like, are you printing on cotton, polyester? All of that, matters. And the vibrancy of the color changes based on all those factors. So you talked about our signature crew neck, the Minhua design. That actually took us like a year to develop. It's crazy.
Embarrassing to say, but yeah.
And it was all because the artwork is hand drawn, right? So there's no digital like vector file for it. It's just a JPEG, right? And we have no experience in the apparel industry. We just had to learn as we go. And so to convert a JPEG and to give it the feel that we wanted, we had to go through a lot of steps. But yeah, basically, it had to be digitally printed on polyester, but we wanted it on like a cotton fabric. So we had to do like a applique method, and maybe I'm getting too technical right now. But anyways,
No,
yeah,
I think that's really interesting. And that's because that's the stuff that nobody really talks about behind the scenes, right? I saw a clip of you guys and I can't find the clip and it really bugs me. So I think JJ deleted it. So I'm mad at JJ. But you guys were like, hey, our stuff's a little bit more expensive because the quality is higher, right? You could buy 2 or 3 shirts or you could just buy one of yours. And that stuck with me because that's how I think, right? Like I've got a closet full of stuff and I've started to like weed out some of like the lower quality stuff that's like a little bit more see-through, that's just not great quality. And I'm like, I wish I just would have spent the money. And I think a lot of the price point has to do with the work you guys put in. And I mean, like you said, you developed that artwork. It took you like a year. And then you're like, oh, we need it printed on cotton instead of polyester. Something that like I'm just a consumer. I wouldn't I I would have no idea. Right. And then I think that's super interesting. So I enjoy hearing about that. So don't feel like it's too nerdy because I'll go deep down the rabbit hole. Um, I think it shows that you guys care about the product and you don't want to settle for anything. A lot of companies are just like, okay, send it, it's good enough, right?
No, exactly. And we've felt that many times because the more you're spending time developing on something, the more money you're putting into it. At a certain point, you're like, okay, should we just settle?
Yeah.
Like, we just want to get it out on the market. But yeah, I think us both, we value quality and we don't want to put something out there that we're not proud of.
Yeah.
So yeah, we chose to.
Yeah, it took a while to get there, but through trial and error, we came out with something that we really are proud of to put our name on. And so, and hearing it from you too, and some other customers and people on Instagram, it resonates with them, that image. So we're glad that we were able to kind of go with what we thought would be the best method or the best product that we
Yeah.
can make.
Yeah. Like I saw that and I'm thinking of like what I have in my closet that is even remotely similar to, that big black piece. Cause it looks like it's just like part of everything. Like I'm a big fan of art. I've got my big Marilyn Monroe,
Yeah.
Very cool.
obviously, which kind of gets me in trouble when I have to make reels because the AI locks onto her as I'm talking, which has ruined reels. Thank you, AI. It's like I'm a big fan of art. I've got Marilyn Monroe. I've got paintings from like people I went to high school with above it, and I love art. That's a big part of me. Obviously, like my photography and everything. I don't really display most of it because I give it away. But like I took that one. There's some other ones all around here. But if I made a shirt with like a picture I took on it, and that picture looked nothing like the picture that I took,
Yeah.
I would be devastated.
Right. Yeah.
And you're taking one that some person painted by hand, and it's on you guys to do a great job to recreate it, not only for your guys and the customers, but like for that person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're
Exactly.
spot on. You're spot on. Yeah.
and it looks phenomenal. And I've seen pictures of it, and then I scrolled down and looked at like people wearing it, and I'm like, it looks good. Um, and like you said, your name's on it. It's literally on a
Yeah.
piece of apparel. It says Johan on the front. So I always struggle with, if I'm taking pictures for like a client or whatever, what do I charge? Because what is my time worth? That's still something I don't know. A lot of my friends who have their pictures taken by me, I don't charge them because I don't know what my time is worth, because you're getting me out on the scene, but then I also have to edit everything, and there's all these different things. And that's the same for apparel. So I didn't bat an eye when I saw the price of that, because it's a little bit expensive for a hoodie or a crew neck. I'm sorry, it's what, $158,
Mhm.
but the quality seems great. The art looks super vibrant and super nice, and it was in Korea Vogue.
Yeah.
I'm
The
like, that's
design, yes,
sick.
yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Not that people should pay for that, but there's all these little things that I think correlate with the price point. And there's going to be people that are like, oh, it's too expensive, right? Like,
No,
it's going
no,
to happen.
yeah, yeah,
But then,
yeah. I think I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, just because we totally resonate with what you're saying. It's as a company, you always think about, would I pay that much, or would I pay that amount for that? But then you kind of think that the work or the quality that was put into it, not just the time that we're talking about, but like the feel of it, the
mhm,
cotton feel of it, which we also spent a lot of time on, right, to kind of create our own feel.
Yeah,
Um,
we knit it ourselves in our
yeah,
factory in Korea. So it's a Supima cotton knit, like a custom knit. It's not like a fabric
oh,
that we just buy.
so it's not just sold by the yard. They actually kind of crafted it to get that right feel, that the heavy but soft feel, and
that
especially
might be the coolest thing I've ever heard.
oh
That's cool. Like I have some really nice hoodies that I'm really happy with. I don't think anybody's gone to the factory and knitted it. That's cool.
well, yeah. I mean,
Does it make the most business sense? I don't know, but
I mean,
but we were just, it kind of goes to like, we were kind of a bit of a stickler for, can we really approve of this? Can we charge for something that we might think is a little bit subpar? So yeah, we just tried our best to make something that we really liked and would wear ourselves, and of course was comfortable. So hopefully that comes across.
well, and at the end of the day, if you wouldn't wear it, would you want to sell it? Would you put it out? Like you guys have said, would I wear this at the end of the day? And the companies that I enjoy to buy from and work with, have these conversations with, it's like I can tell that you would wear it. I mean, you're literally wearing it, you know. But then like as the consumer, it's like, well, would I pay that price? Me knowing how hard it is to design some of these things, to get the product right, having these conversations with people. Yeah. I mean, again, how do you value your time?
yeah. And I
You
think the
know?
timing was really good. We worked with a couple, well-known artists now, but I think like at the time, um, we were just kind of getting into it, and the fact that they would work with us, for us is pretty huge. So
Yeah,
the
for sure.
Minhwa artist for one, but also the ball marker artist
Mhm.
Tukata. So yeah, I mean, she won. Well, there was a contest, a national design contest in 2018 in Korea, and she won it with the very 10 designs that were selling as ball markers. So obviously, it resonated with a lot of people. I think it was a fresh take on like a concept that was rooted in tradition. Um, so yeah, since then, I mean, she's worked with big brands like Thermos, CJ Go, all the way down to like startups like us. But yeah, the big reason that we collaborated together is because we share the same values, like individuality, appreciation for culture, and modernism. And so, yeah, I think both the artists that we've worked with kind of align with our vision.
happy you brought up the ball marker because I would have been fixated on the apparel side of things for way too
Oh,
long. I have Woon right
oh,
here, Woon the Cloud. So I'm a big fan of it being tied to like personality types.
mm,
Because it's something that I know, right? Like I did the test. I'm like, I did it during COVID because I was bored. I'm like, I got time to kill.
yeah, MBTI
So
test.
that's where I learned about mine. And I, oh my God, Magnet is strong.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I think this dude is like the cool, fuck, there it is. I think this dude is like the coolest thing ever.
Oh,
And art, I'm a big fan of like Japanese, Korean,
mm,
Chinese art.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I've taken all sorts of art history classes in college, and it's always fascinating to me, like starting on pottery, caves, stuff like
Yes.
that, and now to what it's evolved into with like, even like anime, stuff like that. It's
yeah.
it's all an art form, right?
Right.
Yep.
This thing, the cloud, he's not a thing. It's
Yeah.
a cloud. It's so cool, and it's so cool that it has like a story tied to it. Um, Derek got the sun. I don't. Derek said he knows his personality type. He didn't tell me. He just said, "Hey, that one," and I'm like, "Okay." I don't
Yeah.
really know if Derek's the sun per se, um,
I
but
think
that's
that's the
fine.
closest to ENFJ. I think the sun.
Yeah, like a
Oh, I don't know
outgoing.
what he is. He's like, "Oh, I did it during marriage counseling." I'm like, "Well, you can just like text me and I'll pick it." And he goes, "No, that's okay."
It's okay as
But
long as it looks good, right?
yeah, no, I think these are really cool, and the art form is great. These things are built to like whoever you guys use to make an actual marker.
Like you don't want to lose it, right? So it's super strong. The
Yeah,
mag.
and like just like the weight is good. We've had a lot of people on talking about ball markers, stuff like that. The ones I always lose are like really light. It has nothing to do with how big or little they are. If if I notice like, oh, I don't have anything in my pocket, I know it's gone. It's
Yeah.
gone. And these things are really cool. So I was hoping you guys would talk about kind of the art behind it. Obviously, you worked with an artist, stuff like that. But um, how did you get the different ball markers to go with the different personality types? Um, and you'll have to tell me if I represent Woon well.
Oh, it's really. I really appreciate that. We really appreciate that you kind of have a fondness for the backstory and have an interest in it because we were super excited about it to kind of craft that. As far as the so not to make a long story short, to briefly go over what the ship they're called shipjangseng. So
Okay.
they're called like the 10 symbols of longevity. That's kind of sometimes used in old traditional Korean artwork. And they all symbolize, for the most part, good health, longevity, living a good long life. And so each element uh, of those 10, I guess, elements or symbols represents some aspect of longevity and good health. So for an example about I think like the what was it? Obviously the turtle, or the one I have right here.
Oh, you have them
The
in front of
turtle.
you. I like the turtle.
That one, turtles are known for long life, right? Living a long life. And I think the sun represents like a good energy and as well as what else? Trying
Like
to think.
water. This is my favorite. It's like
I like
going
that
with
one
the
too.
flow, like easy going, just
Yeah.
I had a hard time picking, which one
There's
I
10 of them,
wanted.
so yeah.
But then I was like, oh well, I guess if they're tied to
Yes.
the personalities, I'm like, I happen to know mine. I know I'm like an ENFEP or
Mm.
something. Mine has a dash. It's weird.
just to
I
be
think
clear, the personality is kind of what we designated
well, that's
ourselves.
fine.
So
That
I don't
that's
It's
know if
fine.
it's
based
like
on what the symbol represents, what
So that's fine. That
closest
helped
to
me
it.
pick.
So yeah.
It helped me pick. And that's all I needed. So I'm
good.
like, I'll sit here for hours and stare at them, and I still won't be able to pick because the turtle, super cool. The water reminded me of the Japanese block paintings. But I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, that one's got my personality letters on it. Let's do it. Um,
Awesome.
that helps me as a buyer, but they're super cool. Um, I
Yeah, and it's in. Oh, sorry.
I wanted to throw it in my bag, but then I'm like, then I gotta dig it out of the bag. for this, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna do it yet. But no, they're super cool and they're built really well. I love the colors. It's definitely cool that they're based around uh like long life, longevity. The wound embodies the spirit of abundance and positive outcomes. That's I didn't memorize that. Thank you for the little cardboard.
Optimism and hope.
It's just fascinating to me how you guys were able to, make it golf, but also still keep it culturally relevant and important to you guys.
Yeah, that's very important to us.
Yeah, and no, and we thought it'd be again. It goes back to, do we like it? Do we have fun with it? And when we had that idea. Well, first of all, when we saw it, we were like, oh my goodness, this is such a cool design, and the fact that it took a traditional old artwork and made it modern, and it's such a
Yeah.
cool look to it. Oh, good.
And they all have faces,
Right.
like expressions, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
But not everyone knows about this type of art,
Right.
And so we kind of wanted to give it another element. And so that's why we kind of came up with those personality types.
Yeah, and like Hannah was saying, it's kind of something that we just kind of not formulated, but kind of try to do research on our own. So it's not like the official.
Yeah, if there's any like psychologists listening.
So we just took the main meaning of this one symbol that what's usually represented. So, like for example, like you said, the cloud representing optimism, representing hope, and the sun representing energy and enthusiasm. So we just kind of took the keywords there and try to match it to the keywords of those MBTIs, and so that's how we formulated it and just try to match them. So it's not like official or anything, but we tried our best to make it fun.
Kind of fun to see that you kind of like actually read the personality, whereas some people they just buy based on the design. So yeah, even that I think is like a personality thing. So it's really fun.
Oh no,
the difference.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with buying based on design, right? Like, I'm just a big fan of art in general. Like my mouse pad is a Van Gogh painting. It is the white blossoms, and I'm a big fan of Van Gogh. So like there's always some element of art around me. And posted a reel yesterday going over like the new Buena Gente stuff, and I've been more intentional with what I'm buying or what I'm wearing or XYZ. I'm only wanting to wear companies that not only support other people but also appreciate what Derek and I are doing. And I think that gets lost in translation. There's certain people that we just won't work with because of XYZ. And it's not a moral thing. It just has to do with we don't really want our name attached to that, right?
Valid, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Maddie. I love Pare. I love what Maddie's doing with Pare. If you haven't DM'd him or talked to him, Maddie's a riot. He's big on his Filipino roots, and he's telling me so much about Filipino culture. Like I had no idea that they love Lacoste so much. That was like news to me, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up!" He goes, "No, dude, we worked our ass off for Lacoste." I'm like, "I love it." So I've been more intentional with things. So that means I'm gonna read descriptions more, and obviously not everybody buys like I do. There are some people that just don't care.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, but if I'm going to be intentional with what I purchase, or you guys are nice enough to send it our way, I want it in a way to represent who I am as a person, and that's where I don't remember the letters that you said for the personality thing, the MTBI or whatever.
MBTI personality.
Yeah, I think that's what really helped me as a consumer. Okay, that's a little bit more me, because there are days that I'm like I'm just kind of floating around, and that makes me feel like a cloud.
There you go.
And then there are certain days where I'm just like I like have to lock in and do stuff, and I don't know. I just wanted to be more intentional with it, and that's kind of the reason why I was so drawn to the personality part of it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun trying to craft it and create it. It took a while, but it was fun to do, and And yeah, we really stand by it, and of course the design itself, and I mean, we had nothing to do with it. We're just kind of collaborating with an already established artist that made these amazing designs. So it was just kind of on us to kind of make it applicable to a lot of people, because not, even a lot of Koreans probably don't know what these elements might be. So to bring it to the audience here, and for them to enjoy it, we thought having a story like that would be nice. And also, too, we appreciate you talking about the quality of this as well. How it's pretty thick, the magnet's really strong. We kind of took our time with it as well, because we wanted to make sure it was something that we enjoy, that we will use. You said it yourself. If it's too thin, it just kind of dances around in your pocket. So I always like having something a bit hefty. So we made sure that it was a good thickness, had a good weight on it. I mean, not too. It's not like that poker chip where it's like super
Yeah. Yeah,
super
like
thick, but it's
it's
got a
not
heft to it.
yeah, it's not like it's like the super crazy thick um
Right.
like enamel, or you know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's 4 pounds by any means. But it's like significant, it's more than like a plastic, but it's less than like
yes.
I have a lot of stuff from Kraken Golf. I don't know if you follow Kraken at all.
I think they were at the PGA show, right? I think
Mark probably was.
uh,
Mark CNCs everything, so it's like a quarter inch thick. Like it's thick. Like it's heavy
mm.
duty stuff. If I lose anything I bought from him, I'm gonna cry. Like it's heavy. This is like that happy in between for
Medium.
people.
Okay, good.
And I don't call things cute very often, but like these are cute. Just like I don't like the word cute. I feel like it's kind of demeaning. Uh these are cute. I really do like these. And yeah, that magnet is crazy.
We did not want the people to lose it, so we made it
But I
extra.
don't put things on my hat either. So like it'd be a great like clip it on the outside of your bag.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
Yeah.
yeah.
walking, just easy, easy access. And then I, I don't know, markers are one of those things where it's really overdone and it's hard to send out with, but that's a good marker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good marker. Uh, I did want to touch on the bucket hat. I'm a big bucket hat guy.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I love buckets. Um, you can't see them, but I've got a bunch of them.
All right, yeah, you
Oh.
can.
Like there's twins, and then a lot of my golf stuff is in another room, other than my bag of random goodies. There's like 4 putters in there. Um, I love buckets. I've got a tie-dye one. My buddy
Cool.
Brian went to the Masters and he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "A bucket hat. Give me a bucket hat."
Nice.
So I've got a yellow bucket hat. Um,
So cool.
your guys is like high fashion,
Mm.
but also like I would wear the hell out of that on the golf course. Um, I don't talk about bucket hats very often, so I'm kind of excited to ask about it. What makes it a little bit different than just your standard cotton floppy bucket, you know?
Yeah, so the brim is super stiff. And it's kind of like a water resistant material. So if it's like drizzly or raining, it'll kind of roll off. And we're Asians with big heads. And it's hard for us to find like a good bucket hat. So we kind of made the circumference a bit on the large side. So
And
it's comfortable.
even then, it barely fits me. So I don't, I can't really. I love bucket hats too, but I can't really with
I
my
mean,
big noggin.
as
But
someone with all this hair that makes all my hats real tight, I appreciate that. And I know I could very easily get rid of this and make all my hats fit dramatically better. Um, that is something that I kind of looked at and I'm like, that looks like a big hat. And then I'm like, it's
that
a
looks
big hat. Like I'm
Yeah.
pumped. I
and another
never
thing about that bucket hat too, it's what's the word? We kind of crafted it ourselves, so it's not a blank. So we
Mhm.
did actually create it from scratch. So it's kind of our own. How would you say? How do I describe it?
Yeah, we like the shape of it, we
Yeah,
and then like the fabric and everything was like
yeah,
custom pretty much. So
Oh, okay. So it's your own design.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you drew up the blueprints, you decided, hey, I want this circumference for our big ass heads,
Yeah.
and XYZ.
We kind of had to settle for one size because it is just a one size bucket hat. But yeah, all those decisions we kind of had to make, and I think we had at least a couple of samples we had to make. One of them, the brim was just too awkward, or the stitching didn't really line up. So that went through some drafts as well. But yeah, we're happy with it and the
There's a
quality.
fine line. Like I've had some buckets that are just real floppy, and then they're always like in my face.
Mhm.
And then like
Yeah,
the one from the Masters is like super stiff brim to where it feels like one of those old timey like barbershop quartet hats. You
yeah,
know what
like
I
those.
mean?
What do you call them? Almost like the wicker.
Yeah. Yeah. It, I love it. Brian, if you're listening, I love it. Thank you. But like whenever I put it on, I feel like almost like a sailor. And I don't like that. So there's a fine line between a good bucket and a bad bucket. So
Mhm.
I always appreciate when people think about the little things, and it kind of ties back into you guys putting your name on it. It's that stamp of approval for a lot of places, right? Um,
Mhm.
like we do our own Shindig merch. Actually, we just got our samples in today. Well, mine came in yesterday.
Oh,
So like
awesome.
we
Love it.
wouldn't sign off on this if we didn't like it.
Mhm.
Right?
And
Yeah.
that's why we do samples. So
Exactly. Love it.
the color's not showing. I have a really bad light. All my good lights are at Derek's, but
Kind of
like
like
this
lavender.
color,
Yeah, is
great.
it like a light purple lavenderish color?
So the shirt is like an ox blood.
Okay. Oh, so it's like a dark maroon.
It's like it's almost like a Bordeaux.
Okay.
Oh,
Does that help?
yeah, yeah,
I I like earth tones. Bordeaux is like my favorite other than mauve. It just
Mm.
deal with me, I guess.
Mhm.
This one I thought was gonna be more tan, and it's almost like a pink.
Oh,
Gotcha.
So it, I kind of resonate with you guys. Like, hey, like it's got to be perfect because
Yeah.
people are gonna buy those. People have already ordered those, which
Oh,
mind blowing to me that people are gonna wear something that says Shindig. Um,
that's what we say every time people order us.
I feel like that whenever somebody clicks listen to one of these, I'm like, damn, they listen to me ramble for like an hour and a half. Because some of these that I've done alone are like 3 hours. I won't keep you guys for 3 hours. It's me. But like, there's one with me, Ralph, and Raul from Los Pharaohs that I shit you not. It was like 3 hours to the point where Ralph texted me. He's like, dude, I gotta go to bed. I'm like, dude, I'm bored. This is great. Um, but I appreciate when companies take the time, do the little things, because ultimately it's what's gonna set you apart, right? Like, you're gonna, hopefully the LPGA player, I'm already losing her name. Um, thank you. Hopefully she ends up wearing it in a round. Because like
Yeah,
that would be like the ultimate like, oh my God moment.
for sure. Yeah, and we appreciate you creating a community, like this with like-minded people. It means a lot, and it takes a lot of time,
Yeah.
So,
Something Derek and I, a little backstory about the pod, something Derek and I really wanted to do was create this organically.
Hmm.
And uh we didn't want to be one of those people who blew up quickly and it was like a flash in the pan and then you never heard from us again.
Hmm.
That's not something we wanted to do. And it has been like the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
mm,
And at the same time, like the most like frustrating thing I've ever done.
oh,
Um, it's, how do we continue to grow? How do we not get complacent? How do we not get stagnant? But at the same time, like, how do we still be Dominic and Derek,
yeah.
you know? And obviously Derek's not here. So like I don't always speak for Derek, it's not right. Um, but we've had a lot of conversations about it. How do we grow this? The way the podcast started is we were playing golf. We were just doing a quick 9 holes. And we're walking back to the cars and he goes, hey, I have this idea. I'm like, okay, this is either gonna be really good or really bad. No in between. And he's like, we start a podcast. Or he goes, you talk a lot. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I do. I enjoy talking. And he goes, you're also opinionated. And I'm like, yeah, I'll die on hills. Like, that's just how I am. That's how I was raised. Like, I was raised, if I believe in something enough, I should stand by that belief. Good, bad, ugly. That is how I feel. That being said, I don't think I have any really dumb beliefs. So that's great. He goes, we should start a podcast. And I put my clubs away and I was like, that's dumb. And he drove away. And then COVID hits and I'm at work and I'm like, hey, do you just want to do this? And he's like, I think it'd be fun. I think it's a good idea. And I'm like, cool, because I already made the Instagram domain. So like you're here either way. Um, and we did that so that nobody else could steal the Safe Par Golf podcast, even though he is Safe Par. So like it'd be a really weird thing for somebody to steal. If you don't know, the main page is just at Safe Par Golf. And it's really blossomed into this really great community where people will message me like, hey, I really loved that episode. It sounded great. I had so much fun. And I'm always like, thank you so much. That is amazing. Let me send you a sticker.
Yeah.
So I have like 10,000 stickers, which is ridiculous. And it's turned into something that is beyond our wireless dreams. We never thought we'd be throwing events that we call shindigs. We never thought we would have these people that want to come on and talk to us. And it's truly something special. And I have a hard time like explaining it to people because it is so, I don't want to say unique because there's a ton of golf podcasts out there. But I feel like ours is different because you're getting two very different mindsets going into things. Like I'm quite a bit younger than Derek. Quite a bit younger than most people, to be honest. Which is also weird. Like we have a group chat and I'm the young one. And I always like to say I'm just a baby, so then they can't yell at me. Um it's definitely rewarding, but it's like you guys, right? Like, what is my time worth? You know, we don't charge people. I'm not charging you guys anything. So for people who think, oh, we're making money, we're not. It's just for fun to, you know, give people a platform. Um, it's so crazy to sit here and have conversations with people halfway across the world. You know, I've had people from Germany on, people from the UK on. It's crazy.
Oh.
And it's such a rewarding journey and it's so exciting. We're approaching 4 years pretty soon.
Oh, congratulations.
Right.
So it's wild. It's such a learning curve. So like when you guys were talking about printing on different materials and then you wanted to print on that one, I felt that because the amount of times I have fried my computer because we tried to hook up 2 USB mics to it. You can't do that. You can't do that. The computer doesn't know what to do. And there's all these little things. And I'm like, been there, done that. So I always enjoy talking to companies like you guys, whether it's, you know, family owned, what, you know, husband, wife, whatever. I think there's so many unique stories in golf, whether it's American, Korean, Japanese, UK, like it's so unique. And I think that's the beauty in golf.
For sure.
And we can say that we understand, like we're not to the level that you guys are, but when you talk about, I can't believe, like, you know, people will listen or even acknowledge, we feel the exact same way. We can't believe, one, you know, people purchase something of ours because, you know, they liked it and they rock it, or even just on Instagram, just the messages that we exchange, or people wearing it and tagging us. So it's unbelievable, because I think you would agree too, is, you know, this is a piece of us, and these people are accepting it and also liking it as well. So what you're kind of describing, we I think we kind of understand too. It's pretty surreal, the fact that, you know, there's other people out there that kind of that are kind of vibing with what we're putting out there, and it's really cool.
It's very like freeing, right? Like we didn't do video for a long time, and that was because Derek didn't want to put himself out there, and that's not a knock against Derek at all, right? Like it's hard to want to put your life out there for everybody to see. And
We're the same way.
We're exactly the same way. That
unfortunately
we're
for
doing this is
everybody,
a little out of the norm
yeah,
for us.
unfortunately for everybody, this is like me. Like you have a conversation with me on a podcast. That's exactly how I talk in real life.
Mhm.
And I'm very like love it or hate it as a person. I kind of rub people the wrong way at times, depending on the situation. Um, but that's who I am. And we started doing video, and I felt like it was very like freeing, and I felt like Derek relaxed a little bit more, and it's very like liberating. So, um, like we've had people come up to me, like our first event we did in NorCal. Everyone's like, "Where's Dom?" I'm like, "Why is everybody looking for me?" Like, I'm just Dom, right? And before I know it, everyone's like, "Dom, like, I want to do a shot with you," or like, "What are you drinking?" Like XYZ. So it's like,
Fireballs. Yeah.
no, tequila. I'm a tequila guy. So we're doing shots of tequila at like 9:30, 9:45 in the morning. And it's like, I don't think I would have it any other way. And it's one of those things that it's so crazy. And to have people message me being like, "Hey, I love that episode," or "Hey,
Mm.
you said this and I really agreed with it." And then to have people call me out and they're like, "Dom, that's just wrong." And I'm like, "Okay, well, explain to me and I'll learn from it." Because there's like a devoted group that like really like keep me in check. Um, we've had guys that are like, "Hey, we listen to every single episode from like the first one on," and I'm like, "That's crazy," because in episode 2 we were saying the Bee Gees, and now we're well, it's from The Office because Derek loves The Office, so they're doing the Staying Alive CPR. I've only seen The Office once, and I'd have no real desire to watch it again. But that's why we're saying the Bee Gees. So if you go back and you go, "What the hell?" That's why. Um, it's very surreal, and it's it's so hard to explain to people, but the people that get it, and they're like, it is. And I keep tying it back to you guys because your name is on your apparel, right? It's not like you named it something out of pocket where it doesn't relate to you. It is your name.
Yeah.
It's very liberating, very freeing, and it's crazy that people sit here and listen to me every week for an hour, just ramble.
Yeah. We've kind of have a similar feeling. It's very surreal, very exciting, and can't believe that there are others out there that like our vibe, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll with the apparel side of what you guys are doing, it's so simple, but at the same time, there's such a flair to it, but it's so subtle that I think works for a lot of people. And it's not heavily branded, right? It's like my shirt says Pare right in the middle. If you don't like Pare, you're gonna hate this shirt. I love Maddie. I love Pare. I've got so much Pare stuff. I've got a handwritten note from him that I look at most days. And I try to buy whatever I can from Maddie because I love Pare. I love what he's doing. We're literally doing a Save Pare collab.
Nice.
Like, be on the lookout. It's coming out in May. And it's NBA themed. That's all I'll give you. It's NBA themed, so we're dropping it with the NBA. Uh,
That's
we're big
exciting.
Wolves guys here in Minnesota, and I grew up a Jason Kidd fan, and Maddie's from New Jersey, so perfect. Because Jason Kidd had that dog when he was on the Nets. Sorry if you don't know NBA, which is fine.
KG,
But
right?
we always do rapid fire questions, and I've been thinking of a handful of them because I like to keep them fresh. Um, so off the top of your head, where is like the furthest place you've had to ship a product to? Like somebody bought it and you're like, "Holy shit, they bought it where?"
I think it was
Where was that?
Hong Kong or Taiwan. We're
Wow.
like, oh, I hope they don't want to return it because it is far.
Wasn't there one in Europe? Somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, some random like across the Switzerland, maybe.
I think it was Switzerland too. Yeah, Switzerland.
That's wild. Yeah, we're working with a bag company from Taiwan, and I'm like, I can't even imagine. Luckily, they have stuff here in the US, so it's not crazy, but that's wild to be like, "Hey, we have this order and we have to ship it to Taiwan or Switzerland or whatever."
And they didn't return it, so they liked it.
Hopefully they got it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, hopefully they did. Yeah, I'm assuming they got it. They would have said
Yeah,
something
They
if they
would have said
didn't.
something.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy to ship it that far. That's further than I've ever been. Although
It's not
we can
common.
kind of,
Just so you know.
yeah, we can track who listens to us where, like in the
Oh,
world.
okay. Yeah.
So like we have had listeners like in Spain and like
Oh,
stuff like that. So I should see if we've ever had a listener in like Switzerland,
Yeah.
Taiwan. That's cool. Um, One question that I love to ask because I think it's super fun and it puts people on the spot, but like in a good way.
oh.
Yeah, you better get ready. Hole one, what is your walk-up song?
Ooh. What is my walk-up song?
Like my
It's not
theme
just
song?
for you, it's
Yeah,
for
yeah.
both of you.
You know, like in baseball when you
Oh, okay.
they call the player up.
So like at the shindig, we're doing walk-up songs. So like T1,
Oh, each one gets their own walk-up song?
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh.
Trying to think. Something to get me pumped.
When I asked my friends one time, they said mine should be the Tokyo Drift songs.
Yes.
Teriyaki Boys?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know
Oh,
if I agree with that.
that's a great song. I mean, the
We
movie,
should share
great
that. We should
movie.
go up together with that.
I love that movie.
Western videos.
That's the whole reason I want an RX-7 is solely that movie
RX-7.
with the Veil Slide kit. Oh
The Bill side, yep.
God, I love cars. So like that movie, I hate it because I'm like, I just want all those, and I love imports and VDM. Oh, please walk up to the Tokyo Drift song.
Hey, if we show up to that shindig, yeah, we'll fetch that song.
I'll send you guys the link. Don't worry. It's not quite fully. We're about halfway, which is really cool. Um, oh, that might be a good walk-up song. I'm a big hip hop guy. So like, I graduated high school in like 2015, and
Oh, hold
don't
on.
get.
How old are you?
Wow, you're young.
I told you, I'm younger than everybody. I'll be 28 in May. I look
It's a
ancient.
good
I
age.
know you can say it.
A good
It's a
age.
good age.
I graduated in 2015,
Mhm.
and I found on Spotify a 2010s playlist,
Uh-huh.
and it's been nothing. Like it's just been on repeat, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I'm in high school again. I'm walking up to like "Fuck Up Some Commas" by Future. Like I feel like that one just bangs. Or we're doing "Pure Cocaine" by Lil Baby. One of those two. I think walk up wise, you'd be like,
No.
"What the hell is this?" And then it'd just be me, just like, "What the hell?"
No K dot in there.
Oh, maybe. Oh, what about K Camp?
I think that's where my hip hop knowledge ends.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. I know. Obviously, K Dot's Kendrick Lamar and everything, but K Camp had a couple bangers in like 2013.
Oh.
I was like a sophomore in high school.
We got married in 2014, if that kind of gives you a.
That's okay. I struggle with like knowing time for things. And I'm like, oh, like yeah, that just happened, and they're like, Dom, that was like 10 years ago. I'm like, no, it's
No.
not.
No, it's crazy. Even COVID was like 5 years ago. It doesn't feel like that.
So I was reading an article, and they were saying a lot of people my age don't feel like we're that age
Mm.
because I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like I'm turning 28, but in a lot of ways, I act like I'm 24. Which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. You know, maybe it's me holding on to my youth, but
Yeah,
I thought that article was interesting. But I was like, I don't feel like I'm that age because it feels like I lost like 2 years.
yeah.
No, for sure. And I mean, for us, because I'm 38. When you say 24 to 28, when I think of that now, it's almost like the same thing. But I
Mhm.
know when I was your age, when I was 28, when I was to think 24, that seemed like a long time ago. So it's just all perspective.
All
I
relevant.
think I think for us, it's just you talk about time, man. It goes by so fast. It's crazy. But hey, man, enjoy it. Take it
A
slow.
couple of years ago, my birthday, my dad was like, "Hey, at your age, we just had you," and I'm like, "No,
Yeah, that's pretty wild to
That's
think about.
trippy.
That's wild to think
Yeah.
I
about.
have like
Like my
youngerish
mom and
parents."
dad like immigrated, like
Right?
already had kids before before my
Before we did anything with our life.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
like
just I can't even like call an insurance company. I don't even know what to say.
I'm just pumped I have insurance. I think that's like the
Yeah.
coolest thing on earth is that I have insurance. Like that's cool.
It's just a very
I don't,
adult thing. But
yeah.
even though I'm so old already, but it's just in my head, I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
So I'm like, I don't know how insurance works, but I know I have this fancy card and I know it makes prices a little bit cheaper. And I'm like, perfect. Um, the last question I always ask, and conveniently will be around LA in May.
Mhm.
Um, where should we go to eat?
Oh.
Dude, that is it's a very question. See,
So
that's very
what we
hard because
so what we
there's
could
just so
also
many
do
different things. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
so what we could also do is walk me through where you'd go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, what kind of food do you like? Well,
I'm not picky. I've been really into Vietnamese food lately. Um, I like Thai food. I like Chinese food. I haven't had Korean food yet. Don't yell at me. There's not a whole lot of that around here.
okay, well, dinner
Um,
has to be Korean
Yeah,
barbecue
dinner will
then,
be
for
Korean
sure.
barbecue.
yeah, we don't really have much of that around here, and if there is, I haven't found it yet. So like, don't yell at me. It's a work in progress, but I like a lot of different food. I'm not super picky. I like to think I'm very culturally diverse. You know, being 40% Finnish, we do Scandinavian stuff on Christmas. It's nasty. I have ham. Um, but I tried it. So I'm not really picky.
Okay, so
So we've been so we're gonna get blasted probably from all these people that that live in LA and stuff. But we in terms of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's a tough one. We have like a few places that we will go that we really enjoy that maybe we'll take like a guest as visiting.
Mhm.
But right now for us, we've been really into Courage Bagels. It's a spot in LA. They're getting
it's
they're pretty
Silver Lake.
popular. Yeah,
What's that style like? Montreal
I think they call
style
it
bagels?
similar to Montreal.
It's a little different from New York style bagels.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
Very good, very good.
they're like denser and seasoned differently.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
they have like an extra burnt version, which is very
yeah.
good.
So all their sandwiches or just the bagel itself, so good.
And then the coffee scene, of course, is amazing. So you can go to a lot of different. And there's all these new coffee shops that pop up.
Mm.
I think Kumquat's pretty popular. Camel Coffee, that's like a Korean. I think it's a coffee shop from Korea. That's pretty well known. I mean, they're all pretty good. As far as lunch, you say you like Vietnamese food. We live more towards Orange County,
Okay.
which is where, and there's a city called Garden Grove, Westminster, where Little Saigon is. And
Oh,
so it's a very big
convenient.
Vietnamese population there. And our favorite
Okay.
one is called Pho 79. That's pretty well known too, but we really enjoy that one. And for Korean barbecue, um, you can't do this all in one day because one's in LA, one's all in Orange County, but we're just kind of
Oh, I mean, you haven't seen me. I'll drive. I'll drive. Don't worry.
What's a
I'll,
good lunch spot in LA, do you think?
it's hard. There's a ton. There's a ton. It's
In Burbank, isn't that kind of close to like maybe like Mediterranean food? Like
I have like two places written down on a list that I want to visit that are
we're gonna
food.
have to look through our list and maybe send you some places.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah.
Because the one
Korean.
place that I really want to go is Porto's Cafe.
Okay.
yeah.
And people are like, Dom, there's going to be a line. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm that patient, but like, I'll give it a shot.
I think
They have
you
like
can
these
order in advance.
cheese paste. That's what I've heard. They have like these cheese Danish pastry things. And I'm like, first of all, there's bread sold. And then there's cheese sold.
Yep. That's
And then they're
enough.
together. And there.
Mhm.
Like,
If you do get to go, definitely get the potato balls. Those are one of the big reasons why we go to Porto's. The potato balls, the cheese rolls, and if you like, the guava cheese is good as well.
what
So those
cheese?
the guava cheese.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so those three. Um,
So
that's
for
what
a
we
long time, I said my favorite food was tacos, and I have
Oh, yeah, you
changed it to my favorite food is just potatoes.
potatoes
Then
and
you'll love
all
the
its
potato ball.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm pretty pumped for
Yeah, you could do
potatoes.
tacos or portos for lunch and stay in the
I do
area
both.
both works too.
Yeah. And then dinner, you said we're doing Korean barbecue.
Yeah. Yep.
And then to round it all off, you got to get some tacos, especially if you're in LA.
Oh, I
The
figured.
one, yeah, the one we like is called Tacos Poblanos. Um, they're a lot of these ones they just kind of operate out of wherever space. This one's in like kind of like a tire shop,
Like a parking lot.
and like in the parking lot.
Well,
But it's so good. It's Tijuana style tacos, and
okay.
it is
Like a
it's
little spicy, but like handmade tortillas, like
Okay.
super smoky everything.
I've been getting real adventurous with my Mexican food because I'm trying to convince people to take me to Mexico when I'm there. Just like I have a passport, like just like sneak me over or whatever, like reverse it. I don't know. Um, so I've had like tripe, which is like stomach lining.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's wild. Not a huge fan. That was a roller coaster of a day. So I'm like, why is it crunchy and I'm still chewing it? That didn't make sense. And
It's a
then they
texture
put like
thing, I think.
cactus
Mhm.
on things, and that was a whole nother wild roller coaster
Which
of a
one? Sorry,
texture.
which one?
Cactus.
Oh,
Ooh,
cactus.
cactus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm. A little
I can't
it can
slimy.
be a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I no not a no, not a I
Hey,
tried it, I ate it. Not a
hey, you
huge
tried it.
fan.
Yeah,
I'm pretty open to trying things. Like I know there's a lot of things that I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I'm not doing tripe again. Not again. That
Yeah,
was
we're
too
not
weird.
really big tripe fans either.
Well, I know a guy and that's like his favorite.
Yeah, I think if you like that kind of chewy texture, you love it.
See, they didn't warn me. So I bit into it. I'm like, oh, it's crunchy. Like, oh, man on flat top. And then I'm like, why am I still chewing? So not a huge fan, but uh yeah, I'll have to hit up some of those spots when I'm in Burbank, LA.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Um, thank you guys so much for joining
Yeah.
me and
appreciate it, Dom.
Thanks for
kind of
having us.
nerding out about the apparel a little bit. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the background of design and stuff like that. And kind of learning about why companies do things is exactly why we started this. So it's interesting. Don't feel like you bored me because I would have listened to you guys talk about apparel for a long time.
Awesome.
Oh, we really appreciate it, Dom, and you reached out to us, and the fact that you gave us the space to get to know you better, and to kind of also put our name out there as well, and to explain what we kind of stand for and what our kind of goal is. I really appreciate that, and I think we talked about vibe a lot, but we definitely vibe, and I think our philosophies kind of are similar. So it was really cool to get to know you, and hopefully Derek enjoys his sunball marker.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for opening up the community to us and
for sure.
giving us your time and the
So
space.
my big thing in the golf world is I feel like it's unfortunately very clicky, right? It shouldn't be because we're all doing the same thing. We're all chasing that little ball around. We're all shanking shots. We're all wearing the same apparel, just with different companies. And unfortunately, it's turned into a popularity contest.
Mhm.
And what I do is I'm the one who schedules everybody. I do all the outreach. If I feel like that, I just don't reach out. I don't feel like it's fair to other companies who are doing it the right way and doing the right thing. Again, in my reel, I posted yesterday. I don't know if you guys ever like watch stuff, but authenticity is super big right now in golf. That's why I really love John with Buena Gente. Um, I keep thinking he's out of California, but he's in Oregon, which just feels weird. Um, but being authentic, I think, sets people apart for the good. and there's a lot of companies that aren't, at least I feel, aren't authentic. You know,
Mhm.
you guys quite literally put your name on your apparel. That's about as authentic as it gets. You know, whether it's Bonhente, Pare, Johan, stuff like that deserves to be celebrated. It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. It should be celebrated for being yourself in golf, especially a game where we're seeing a lot of different cultures and communities get into golf. Like right now, one of the biggest LPGA players is Minji Lee,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I don't know her ethnicity, but I know she's from Australia, and I know her brother Minwoo Lee is also on the PGA, also from
Yeah.
Australia, and they're both Asian, and it's one of those things where it's like that's badass, right? Like they're bringing a different flavor into golf. I know in the Latino community, there's not a whole lot of them, but the ones that are there, like Abraham Answer, I know he's on Live, but
Mhm.
the gravitation to him right now is huge. And that wouldn't have happened without a good community. So I'm very big on authenticity and stuff like that. So you don't have to thank me. It pleasure's all mine. I enjoy talking with people about their companies and just kind of their vision. So um thank you for the food Rex. I'm gonna have to check it out, but I'm very excited to hopefully see you guys at the shindig. There's no pressure. Um
We'd love
I
to.
joke around about it a lot. If you don't, that's fine. You guys have lives, you're busy, but would love to see you. That'd be super cool. We'll get you a super cool shindig speaker and custom skull Pharaoh towel and bag tags. It's all part of the sign up. So,
Oh,
um, thank you guys so much. Best of luck to Johan. Um, and I hope people find you through this. And if they don't, I hope they find you organically because that's even better.
thank you.
Hey, Dom, no, seriously, we really appreciate it. And thanks for the time. And it was great talking to you.
For
Yeah,
sure.
it's nice meeting you.
For sure.